Bath versus Leicester, that's always been the game. When you look down the history of English club rugby, just before professionalism properly kicked in, when Bath actually, funnily enough, kind of fell by the wayside, they won the Heineken Cup in the mid-90s, just as rugby was turning professional, and then Leicester would go on and dominate the next era. But it was those two clubs that were the two great powers, and so it just feels great that the Premiership final this weekend is going to be between those two great rivals. I know geographically it's not a rivalry, it might not have the same kind of local bragging rights that Northampton Saints against Leicester does, or Bath against Gloucester, or Bath against Bristol that we saw last weekend. However, this rivalry is real, and for the fans it matters, and of course it matters because there is a Premiership on the line. For Leicester Tigers, here's the thing. Bath, this squad is the best resourced, the highest paid, the most money is spent on this squad. That's not to knock them, because it's a very, very well put together squad, and Johan van Graan's done a brilliant job. But my point is, this Bath team, if they don't win this time, they might win next year, they might win the year after as well. They could end up with a bit of a dynasty over the next few years. Everything is kind of in place for Bath. However, for Leicester Tigers, this feels like an opportunity they have to take, because they are losing some world-class talents. Andre Pollard is going, and they're not replacing like with like at fly half. Such an important position. They've got Julien Montoya leaving, world-class hooker. They're not replacing like for like with him. A very important position. And I mean, they did really well to be able to say the same thing about Jasper Wiese last year. They lost him, and guys like Ollie Cracknell have stepped up and done absolutely brilliantly. Equally, they've got a lot of young guys that are a year older now and a year better. Ollie Chesham, George Martin, Jack Van Poortvliet. So they've got a lot of really, really good England international players. Bath, they've recruited brilliantly, partly because Worcester, London Irish and Wasps went bust, and Bath just picked off some of the choice players there, as many clubs did. But they've also added to that with some absolute class. I said that Leicester Tigers are losing a world-class fly half. Bath have got a world-class fly half, and doesn't it make a difference? So, I mean, that battle in itself, Finn Russell versus Andre Pollard, is huge. In fact, let me do that. Obviously, the teams will get announced tomorrow as I'm recording this. And thank you for watching, by the way, I appreciate it. I'm just taking a little walk. There's this little, it says it, like old castle, Leftrow Castle, but not much of it left. But it's just up on the hill, overlooking the sea. And I just thought I'd come for a little stroll and chat some rugby. So, yeah, if you appreciate the content, if you appreciate the fact I'm still bringing you videos about rugby while I'm on holiday, honestly, I love it. Then, yeah, hit subscribe. Most importantly, get stuck in down below. But I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me go through the two teams and do a bit of a, before the teams have actually been announced, do a bit of a head-to-head. So, loosehead prop. You've got Nicky Smith against Benno Urbano. That's a really even matchup, that. And Nicky Smith, I mean, he put Asher Opoku for jaw to the sword last week. He's going to be doing it against Joe Hayes, who's going to be probably the frontline England prop. Could even, with the way the tight head prop situation is, could even find himself called up to the British and Irish Lions. Benno Urbano, point to prove. Joe Hayes is in the England squad. Benno Urbano desperately wants to be there, but I suspect may not be for the summer tour. Hooker, Tom Dunn, whose face told a story. That's how you sell rugby, by the way. That's what people want to see with rugby. A guy whose face is disfigured out of all recognition from 80 minutes of putting his body on the line, and he's got a big smile on his face at full time. Tom Dunn, what an absolute legend. Him up against Julien Montoya. So I think I'd go Nicky Smith just over Urbano, and I'd go Montoya over Tom Dunn. So far, so good for Leicester Tigers. So I need to concentrate on what I'm doing here, because I've got flip-flops on. Not the best choice of footwear, Tim. Tight head prop. Dan Cole will be on the bench. So who's starting for Tigers at tight head prop? Joe Hayes, of course I said. Joe Hayes and Thomas du Toit. I mean, Thomas du Toit may be on the bench again, but I mean, that in my opinion, not just the best prop in the Premiership, he's the best rugby player in the Premiership. Might even be the best tight head prop on earth. I'm sure Wilco Lowe would have something to say about that, but and a couple of others. But I go Thomas Dutoit all the time. So honours fairly even at front row. Second row, I would pick Ollie Chesham, and if George Martin was fit, I'd pick George Martin and Ollie Chesham. But George Martin, that's a big miss for Leicester, big miss. So Cam Henderson's been playing quite well, but I'd definitely go with Charlie Ewells and Ollie Chesham. Two good players. Ollie Chesham, I think he's going to have a big summer for the Lions. He's just, I called him Ollie Chess Dutoit last week, and I've called him that a few times recently, and that's how he plays to me, just everywhere. His work rate is phenomenal. So in the front five, 3-2 to Leicester. Back row, Ted Hill, what an absolute beast. Hanro Liebenberg, one of the most unheralded, least celebrated, but superb Premiership players that there is. He's been absolutely outstanding. I'd go Ted Hill though over him. Tommy Raffel at 7. Sam Underhill, he's still suspended, isn't he? Miles Reid off the bench, by the way. How ridiculously good was he last week? Put into like 21 tackles in half an hour off the bench. Probably go Tommy Raffel. So one apiece on the flank. Number 8. Alfie Barbary or Ollie Cracknell. Tough one this. They both do a good job for their team. I think Ollie Cracknell, just as a ball carrier, has been absolutely exceptional. And the fact is, they haven't missed Jasper Wiese. I think that tells you everything. So in the pack, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 5 Leicester Tigers and 3 Bath players. But this is it. I'm just picking individuals, but it's all about the collective. And that's probably the best job that Johan van Graan has done. For all that I've said about Bath have the biggest budget, they're spending the most money, they're just on the same page. They just have that hive mind. So it doesn't matter who starts, who's on the bench. And the fact is, and also the bench is a massive factor. Look at how they blew Bristol away in the second half of that game. When you can bring Springbok International, one of the best tight heads in the world, Thomas Dutoit, off the bench to replace your British and Irish Lion, one of the best tight head props in the world, Will Stewart. I mean, that's hard to compete against, isn't it? It's particularly in a salary cap universe, that's really hard to match. So that, whilst Leicester Tigers may have on paper, a very competitive starting pack, it's what's their bench made of versus Bath's. Let's move on to the back line then. And here, Ben Spencer in the Premiership has been exceptional. He does such a good job for Bath. The left foot, right foot with him and Finn Russell has been brilliant. The amount of responsibility that Ben Spencer takes for the tactical game management, I just think is brilliant. And the game that Bath play, where they back their defence, they put massive pressure. Will Muir and Joe Thockiner-Singh are chasing like absolute demons when Ben Spencer puts up his box kicks. He's been so good. Jack Van Poortvliet as well, excellent. I'd go for Ben Spencer. Hondre Pollard, Finn Russell, both amazing 10s. People call, right, 2 things is true here. A lot of people call Hondre Pollard like a pragmatic, functional 10. He's not. He can do incredible attacking plays. His range of passing is outrageously good. He can also be a clutch kicker when it's needed as well. And he's got a top elite mentality. Equally, Finn Russell, everyone talks about him being a maverick, being a wild attacking 10. No, he can do the nuts and bolts. And I think that's probably it's actually been an improvement in his game since he's come to Bath, slotting into this team. And he's done it brilliantly, and he just pushes his team around the park, plays territory when it's on, and then releases players when it's on, but only when it's on. I think he's been amazing. I would probably go Hondre Pollard if I had to pick one of the 2. So 1 half back apiece. Centres, Redpath and a Jomo. It would have been Ollie Lawrence, obviously, if he'd have been available. Big loss for Bath, but they've done well without him, haven't they? And Joe Woodward and Solomon Ikata. See, Joe Woodward and Max Ajomo, 2 of those players, along with Seb Atkinson, Oscar Beard, another one. There's a few others, Waghorn at Quins too. There's a lot of good young centres coming through, and England have needed them. It's been a problem position for a while. I think I think I'd pick... See, is Jomo going to play 12 if he plays? Or is he going to play 13? I'd definitely pick Solomon Akata. He just runs hard. He's got like almost like a rugby league style running action. So I'd go Kata and Ajomo in the midfield. Maybe Redpath as well, he's been excellent. But one each. So one apiece at half-back, one apiece at centre, wingers, Muir and Thokinasinger versus Hassel Collins and Radwan. This is such a good matchup, isn't it, of these wingers? So interesting. And Ollie Hassel Collins has probably been the form winger in the Premiership. You could make an argument that, you know, in the second half of the season, Adam Radwan's been there, and that Thokinasinger and Will Muir, again, it's the job that they do for their team that is so good. So if you were a Bath coach, you'd pick Thokinasinger and Will Muir because they just do that job brilliantly. Radwan, his finishing last week was just top tier. I think I would go, I mean, I'll pick any of them. Any 2 from 4, honestly. But Will Muir and... I've just done Radwan. Because Will Muir, workhorse, Radwan, pure finisher. Nice balance. Fullback, Tom de Glanville or Freddie Stewart. Different players, do different jobs for their teams, both brilliant. I go Freddie Stewart. I love that guy. He's been absolutely exceptional. So, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 Leicester, 3 Bath. So actually it's 9 from Leicester and 6 from Bath if I was just doing a 15. But that's the thing, you see. Where the game is going to be won and lost, I feel, is in the other 8 players that are coming off the bench. And there is where Bath have a massive edge. And also collectively, Bath have demonstrated they are ready to take the next step. They've already done it in one final. They've lost in a final. I've just got a feeling about Bath, although scoreboard pressure, guys like Andre Pollard, it's massive. Guys like Tommy Raffel could have a massive day. Ted Hill and Tommy Raffel could be 2 of the most important players. Like defensively, Ted Hill breaking things up and Tommy Raffel slowing up the ball. Finn Russell, Pollard, it's just, there's matchups everywhere. It's going to be a belter. I'm going to go for a narrow Bath win and a first Premiership title and history. And maybe the start of a dynasty. We will see about that. That's my thoughts. Let me know yours. And when the teams are out, I'll do this whole process again for real. See you on the next one.